Little girl finally found her mother, who had been missing for 8 years. But when she couldn't help but cry out "Mom," the woman became instantly tense. She was worried that her mother-in-law would find out that she had given birth to a daughter. She hurriedly explained that she only had one son. The little girl was just an ill-mannered beggar, she said. When the woman got closer, she realized that her daughter had been brought by her mother. But to maintain her hard-earned wealthy life, the woman tearfully demanded that her mother take her daughter away. She told her to never appear in front of her again. But before she finished speaking, her mother slapped her in the face. Then, her mother scolded her angrily. It turned out that 8 years ago, the woman had gotten pregnant before marriage. She planned to get a marriage license with her boyfriend the next day. But that night, there was an earthquake. From that moment on, her boyfriend completely disappeared from her life. The woman went to the hospital alone and gave birth to a baby girl. However, the rural village she lived in was conservative and feudal. Being pregnant before marriage, she faced constant judgment from the villagers. Out of desperation, the woman left her daughter with her mother to raise. She also left the only memento from her boyfriend, an emerald bracelet, to her daughter. She told her mother that once she made something of herself, she would come back for her daughter. Thus, the grandmother and granddaughter lived a life of mutual dependence. But 8 years passed without even a single phone call from the woman. Her mother, who had worked tirelessly day and night to raise her granddaughter, had exhausted her health. The doctor told her that without surgery, she wouldn't survive more than 3 months. Worried about leaving her granddaughter alone after her death, she brought her to the city to find her mother. Little did she know, after all these years, the woman had become selfish and indifferent to her family. Seeing her grandmother and mother arguing endlessly, the little girl claimed she didn't want to look for her mom anymore. The woman explained that the circumstances were very special at the time. She had no choice but to give birth to her daughter. Now, everyone thought she was an orphan. Suddenly having a daughter would ruin her reputation. So, she urged her mother to abandon the child somewhere. Whether she lived or died, she shouldn't care. Hearing this, her mother became furious with shame. She yelled that the woman was unfit to be the child's mother. She decided she would raise the granddaughter herself from now on. She also warned the woman never to expect her granddaughter to call her mom again. Coldly, the woman told them never to come looking for her again. With that, she turned and left without looking back. Suddenly, the old woman collapsed from a fit of rage. The sensible little girl knelt on the ground, crying, saying she would never look for her mother again. Just as she said this, a line of luxury cars appeared before them. A man in a suit stepped out of one of the cars. He was none other than the girl's long-lost father. It turned out that after the earthquake, he had miraculously survived. He searched the ruins for 8 days and nights but couldn't find his girlfriend. Devastated, he broke down in tears, believing she had died in the disaster. In an attempt to move on from his grief, he went abroad to live. Now, after years of hard work, he had built a billion-dollar fortune. Yet, he could never forget his girlfriend. Seeing the grandmother and granddaughter standing in his way, his secretary angrily told them to get out of the way. At that moment, the man noticed the little girl. He thought that if his daughter had survived, she would be around that age. He then told his secretary to take the old woman to the hospital. Reluctantly, the secretary dropped them off at the hospital entrance. Covering her nose, she complained that encountering them was bad luck and that she'd now have to pay for a car wash. At that moment, she noticed the jade bracelet in the little girl's pocket. She rushed forward and snatched it, claiming that a beggar couldn't possibly own such an expensive bracelet. She said she would use the bracelet to cover the car wash cost. Unexpectedly, the CEO noticed the bracelet on his secretary's wrist. When he saw his mother's name engraved on it, he questioned the secretary about where she got it. The secretary was momentarily confused, unable to understand how a little beggar could have the bracelet. When she said she had taken it from the little girl, the CEO instantly realized that the girl might be his daughter.